the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Old-fashioned soul. Where you eating at?
Hi, I'm Greg Doolin, inviting you to a special celebration of Women's History Month. Join KBLA Talk 1580 for its annual symposium, The State of Black Women in LA. Broadcast live from Doolin's Soul Food on Crenshaw, Friday, March 27th, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., moderated by Dominique DePrimo. And yes, breakfast is just $15.80. Come get fed twice. Your stomach and your mind will thank you. We'll see you Friday morning, March 27th, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. at Doolin's Soul Food on Crenshaw for the State of Black Women in LA. Broadcast live only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's election day in the state of Illinois, and as we move into the primary election to determine the standard bearers for the Democratic Party in the general election, which will occur in November, Democrats are running all across the country at this hour, and so are Republicans, seeking to be the standard bearers for their party and help shape the general election message on what matters to the people of the United States of America. Maybe the most consequential election in our nation's history, given the role that the United States Supreme Court has played in strengthening the executive branch, relegating Congress, as well as, quite frankly, the courts, to not co-equal branches of government, but somehow government of, for, and by the President of the United States. And so the American people have choices. In the 2nd Congressional District of Illinois, that's ultimately what we tried to do, and that is to provide a choice for people to be able to make decisions about the future direction of the United States. We've had No Kings marches, we've had marches against tyranny, we've had marches fighting for innocent men and women who, in the state, for example, of Minnesota, lost their lives over issues that should be handled at the ballot box. Indeed, the role of Congress in that process, in terms of holding the administration accountable for turning the Immigration Customs Enforcement Agency on the American people. We've never seen anything quite like that since troops were brought into our communities, I guess in the early 70s and some in the late 60s, quashing protests against the Vietnam War. And if there's anything that can be said about the future of wars, is the idea that dissent is no longer recognized as legitimate. In fact, increasingly in the 60s and 70s, when we protested against wars, the American people had an expectation that they would be protected by the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, only to find out at Kent State and other universities around the country, the National Guard ended up opening fire on the American people. And in a nation that is so free and so blessed as ours, what a great travesty that a wall has been breached between the administration the executive branch and the expectations of the people, that it would be unimaginable that the government of the United States would turn its attention to what the President of the United States has referred to as the enemy within. We do not see ourselves as enemies within. We see ourselves as exercising our First Amendment rights, our right to dissent the policies of our government, a government that 250 years ago dedicated itself to the idea that all men, and yes, Elizabeth Cady Stanton's friendly amendment, all women are created equal. The idea that dissent is tolerated in our system, the idea that the press itself could be free to help educate the American people and raise concerns about the direction of our government, are all on the ballot in 2026. And what emerges from these contests in November could shape the direction of democracy, not only in the United States, but democracies around the world that emulated, if not imitated, the Constitution of the United States. I believe it was Ruth Bader Ginsburg who suggested towards the end of her tenure on the Supreme Court, and ultimately the end of her life on the Supreme Court, that she would not recommend the U.S. Constitution for a new democracy being born into the world during this period. She would recommend a different constitution, assuming and understanding the history of Justice Ginsburg, that she sincerely believed in the idea of equal protection of the laws, that she sincerely believed in the idea of freedom for all people and the right to dissent, with the people themselves being responsible for government. After all, we are electing representatives. We're not electing rulers. We're not electing people to lead us, although there is leadership that can come from the political class. But we, the people in America, I believe it was Senator Stennis, a noted segregationist who might have gotten this one absolutely right. In America, the people govern. And that means the people have to turn out and vote so that their voices can be heard. I want to cover some of that in this hour, but I'm particularly blessed, very, very blessed, that joining me on the Jesse Jackson Jr. show today will be my mother, who on March 17th, today, turned 82 years old. She has been a real pillar of strength for our family during this period. I know that my mother is joining us this morning on the Jesse Jackson Jr. show this afternoon, if you are in other parts of the United States in Los Angeles. So when we come forward, my mother, Mrs. Jesse Jackson, Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson, will be joining the Jesse Jackson Jr. show. I believe my sister Santita will also be joining the Jesse Jackson Jr. show for the very first time. During this period of familial bereavement, she has stood strong, not only for our family, but she has stood strong for our nation, and she has stood strong for everyone who mourned with our family, who mourned the life of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. We're going to dig into some of my mother's thinking about what next and her life with the Reverend Jesse Jackson. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Fighters to the firsts, from the boardroom to the front lines, from the unsung to the unforgettable. All month long, we're celebrating the stories, the voices, and the conversations that remind us that women, Black women, have always led the way. Don't miss a moment. This is our moment. This is our story. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580, Los Angeles' home for the conversations that matter.
I'm your girl, you're my girl, we're your girls. Won't you know that we love you?
For 70 years, the Humane Society of the United States has worked to end animal cruelty. Now, we're continuing that mission as Humane World for Animals, because we work around the globe to care for animals who are suffering today. And we tackle the root causes of cruelty for a kinder tomorrow. We are Humane World for Animals, and together we can make a difference. Help make change for animals. Visit humaneworld.org.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Warning, evacuation in progress. Leave the building. It's a total takeover.
That's what I want.
On Friday, March 27th, KBLA Top 1580 belongs to the women. Are you ready? All day long, from 6 in the morning to midnight, the mic belongs to powerful, accomplished women, and we are not letting go. Nothing but the voices of women who inspire, challenge, and move us forward. It's the women of KBLA Talk 1580, sun up to sundown. I'm Dominique DePrima, and I'll anchor the day with a 3-hour live panel from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the state of Black women in LA, followed by women talking to women all day long about the issues that matter most. Our hosts for the day include Jill Monroe, Adrian Shropshire, Dr. Melina Abdullah, Angela Reddick Wright, Raquel Graham, Angelique Francis, Tasha Thomas, Dr. Shalonda Crawford, Dion Raymond, and featuring special guest hosts Santita Jackson and Amanda Seals. This is Women's History Month, and we're not just celebrating it, we're amplifying it. Join us Friday, March 27th on KBLA Talk 1580, where women take over all day, all night. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 and all of our socials for the rundown. You don't want to miss a single word. And happy Women's History Month from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
To my ladies,
I'll show you how to work that.
Go.
You are the bomb.
How do you spend your audio time on smart speakers?
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
I'm Alexa.
Play KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, let's play.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is connecting you with services and solutions. Domestic violence and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Every single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take on various forms: psychological and emotional, physical and economic, and sexual abuse. The Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. The Genesee Center also provides support services like mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal services. If you need help or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 1-800-479-7328. That's 1-800-479-7328, or visit genesee.org. Everyone has the right to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Jackson Jr. Show. King Folly Folly drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. and welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. A woman who really no introduction whatsoever. Her leadership helped propel a movement for more than 6 decades. She was married to the Reverend Jesse Jackson for 65 years, and she really served as the backbone for his activity, the capacity to lead people, engage people around the world. And I want to take this opportunity to share with my mother, Mrs. Jackson, we express our sincerest condolences to you here at KBLA for the loss of your husband. Mom, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. How are you holding up?
Thank you, family. I'm so pleased to be with you as I celebrate my birthday today, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this show. Secondly, and most of all, I'm proud of my mother that she gave me a chance at life. Thank you so much for having me. This is an exciting day for you with your candidacy, and now the polls are opened, and I certainly hope tonight will be a wonderful night for you.
Thank you, Mom. I appreciate that.
And Jonathan, and my son, Jonathan.
Absolutely. You have 2
We're
sons.
going to show them what we do here in Chicago, and we do it well. It's the city with the big heart.
Thank you, Mom. We're both on the ballot, and I'm so grateful that you recognize that. Mom, let me ask you a question. How are you holding up?
First thing, I trust in God, and there's a scripture on my way to see your dad. I was told by a friend of mine, Reverend Muncie. He said, when you go to see him, understand this is simply his address. It is not his home. And in seeing and viewing him, I took that to heart, and it made it very easy for me because I also moved through the promise of the scripture. The question was, O grave, where's thy victory? O death, where is thy sting? One of the wonderful things about your father is he always said yes. He was always willing to serve and be the first and do. His hands always, one of his teachers said to me that his hands always went up first. And I learned that from him in service also. And it made for a very wonderful, wonderful life. And I'm still madly in love with him. And that's one of the secrets I have about caring and maintaining a life with another person. First, you must like them, and you must like them sincerely and a lot. And I still carry him with me. So I'm holding up because God will come and get me too.
Mom, can you share with us how and when you met Reverend Jackson, your husband Jesse Jackson, and how you felt on the first occasion?
Well, that's so complex. That's another show. I think we should. It wasn't love at first sight. It was a fight, and he was a football player, and I had never imagined myself ever with an athlete. And I was on my way to the canteen at A&T State University. At that time, it was a college. And the football boys would gather and create a line, a line on both sides of the sidewalk. So every woman who went into the canteen had to be subjected to their little wolf calls and their little smart remarks, and they would all try to outdo each other, of course. So as I came through, I decided to do my little model strut. And Reverend said, through all the calls, the little calls, cat calls, and etc., whatever you refer to them as, that the men made, his call got my attention. And he said, "Girl, I'm going to marry you." And I turned around to him and I said, "Big boy, come up and see me sometime." And so, of course, my response to him had the guys really ribbing him about having been challenged. And that started it all. And it was fun. And we became friends. And as he began to involve himself even more with the civil rights movement, I was very enamored with the work. Not him, because he was still on the football team, the one who made all these little calls at the canteen. But I began to work in my dorm to encourage the freshman class to participate, and it was a risky business because we could be expelled from school, and many of them did, and that's how it all happened. My girlfriends liked him more than I did, and they had decided that they were going to put us together. And he accepted that, and I didn't. So I was the one being chased. And one young man said to me when I asked him about my to-be husband, I said, "What do you think?" He said, "In life, there are two forces, the hunters and the hunted. And you know what the cats do to the mice when they catch them? They eat them."
I'm proud and particularly honored, Mom, that my eldest sister, Santita Jackson, is joining us on the program, because when the hunter mama caught the mice, or caught the mouse, Santita, Mama said something about your humble beginnings. Santita? Can Santita hear us? Santita can't hear us. Mom, let me ask.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could have joined you in person today, but I'm not at my very best today. And I wanted really to celebrate my birthday, really reflecting on what I've been through, and to thank my mother. And now I have two individuals to thank, because my husband left me on my birthday, the 17th of February, the same day that I'm celebrating my life today.
Mom, let me ask you a question. I know that Santita is going to be joining us in just a moment. We had an audio issue with her just a moment ago.
I'm here.
Hi, Santita. How are you?
It's wonderful seeing you. Happy birthday, Mother. And I just voted for you, Jesse.
I appreciate that, Santita. Santita, Mom was just sharing a wonderful story about how Dad was the hunter at A&T and she was the hunted.
That's right.
The great product of that was my eldest sister, Santita. Santita, this is Mom's 82nd birthday, which I think both of us have acknowledged. You probably know more about the early beginnings of our parents' relationship and what Dad actually saw in Mom. He talked about her international pursuits and what she saw in the world. Santita, we have about 3 minutes before we come forward. Take your time.
We it's very interesting about Mom. We have to go back to our grandmother Gertrude Davis Brown, who was a migrant worker. I remember watching you make the case for Elian Gonzalez, his father, some years ago on CNN when you were talking with Gloria Estefan. And I said, remember, our grandmother worked in Cuba, picking beans, chopping sugarcane. And that is really the moorings of Mom and her political activism. She saw the world from not just through an American lens, but through a global lens. And what struck Daddy about her, he would tell me, he said, I wanted to date her. The day that I met her, I told her that I was going to marry her. And she had a requirement. She said, okay, well, you know what you can help me do? You can help me write a paper on whether China or Indochina should be admitted to the United Nations. And he said, huh? Wait, what? She said, well, yeah, I want to work with the United Nations. I want to be an interpreter. And so if you can help me do that. He said, and I was running behind her ever since. And she's really pushed and helped to shape Dad's international view, his international policies. She made Jack Odell, who had been pushed out of the movement by the Kennedy administration. Such were the times. She made him very relevant to us. She made Castro very relevant to us. She made Lumumba relevant to us, Nkrumah. She made all of these great figures, Nehru, Gandhi. She made them all come alive to us because of her experiences. And she helped us, as you remember, Jesse, when we were children. She said, now there are 7 continents. Look at all of the oceans. And the world fights wars over water access. I mean, there was she had such an interesting, Mom has such an interesting view of the world and thus of America and America's place in it. And she shaped us in ways that I think will resonate throughout the rest of our lives. And we just thank God for her every single day.
I know we have just a few seconds before we come forward, and we'll have more with Santita Jackson and Mrs. Jesse Jackson when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. But I do want to raise this point just before we go to the hard 30, and that's this. So Jesse Jackson is a young, vivacious person coming out of Greenville, South Carolina, out of very difficult circumstances. And the first time he comes into contact with someone who sees a worldview and a global view and our participation in it is none other than Jacqueline Lavinia Brown, later Mrs. Jesse Jackson. More on KBLA with Mrs. Jesse Jackson and Santita Jackson when we come forward right here on 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. President Trump says he believes the honor of taking Cuba will be his. Speaking at the White House Monday, Trump referred to Cuba as a failed nation and said, I think I can do anything I want with it. This comes on the same day Cuba's national electrical grid suffered a total collapse, leaving around 10 million people without power. Cuban-born Miami radio host Ninosa Perez noted she wasn't offended by Trump's comments.
The blackouts are not new. The lack of water is not new. This is a collapsed system.
She says she'll be happy if Trump takes over and she can return. U.S. flyers are getting hit with a 1-2 punch of bad weather and long lines as a line of thunderstorms hit the East Coast as far south as Florida. FlightAware reports over 1,000 flights have been canceled. And happy birthday to singer Tamar Braxton. She turns 49. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The play-in round of the NCAA men's basketball tournament tips off tonight. HBCU Howard University is competing in one of the 4 games. Howard takes on Maryland, Baltimore County in Dayton, Ohio. The winner advances to the field of 64 for a first-round matchup Thursday against Michigan, the #1 seed in the Midwest Regional. Howard's women's team is also in the NCAA tournament. Howard, the #14 seed in the Fort Worth Regional, has a first-round game Thursday at #3 Ohio State. From the Under the Radar department, Filmmaker Ryan Coogler, a groundbreaking winner at the Academy Awards Sunday night, was a wide receiver on the Sacramento State University football team. Coogler, who grew up in nearby Oakland, had 112 catches for 1,200 yards when he played at Sacramento State from 2004 to 2007. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. These are hard times for housing in America. Too many in our community face barriers to safe housing, behavioral health care, and affirming spaces for healing, particularly those impacted by poverty and stigma or incarceration. Rooted in South LA, Ahmad supports impacted communities through housing, wellness, and leadership development. Ahmad provides culturally responsive, peer-led support from transitional housing and mental health services to leadership development and youth empowerment. They offer safe, affirming houses for youth, transgender women, and formerly incarcerated individuals. Therapy and peer support with a focus on healing trauma in Black communities. HIV prevention and care, free testing, education, and wraparound services for whole person wellness. Standing in the gap with health, housing, and hope. Reach out to Ahmad Institute at 323-569-1610. That's 323-569-1610. Or visit amaad.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Dominique DePrima, KBLA Talk 1580 host and African Focus Incorporated cultural ambassador. You probably know by now that every year our two organizations team up to lead a trip to the motherland. This June will be our 8th African Focus Trailblazers Tour, and it's not too late to join us. But if you've been thinking of going with us, now is the time to sign on before prices go up. Our current deadline is March 20th. Join us as we travel to a country widely considered one of Africa's most underrated destinations, Zambia, home to the towering Victoria Falls and the bustling capital city, Lusaka. Enjoy a visit to Botswana, known for its pristine natural beauty and stunning Southern African wildlife. We travel in comfort with luxury accommodations, a variety of fun activities, and delicious dining. We do service with charitable work at a school and an orphanage, and we expand our horizons with cultural and historical excursions. To sign up now before before our March 20th deadline, please call African Focus Incorporated at 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300. Or check out africanfocus.org. Whether it's in the community or traveling the globe, we move as family. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Let's go.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We have a special show today celebrating the 82nd birthday of my mother, Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson, born on March 17th. She's 82 years old, and I'm also very proud that my eldest sister, Santita Jackson,
I'm the eldest.
I did say eldest. I didn't
No,
say
that's the eldest sister. I'm the eldest.
Oh, okay. She's the oldest sister.
I'm the oldest.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm so glad we didn't do that a week ago. Santita, at the hour that mom meets dad, mom doesn't have a passport. Neither does dad. And yet, on many of the international trips that our father ultimately took around the world, it would be mom who would have preceded him in the Middle East, in Cuba, in Africa, because of her concerns. Mom's influence, from your perspective, on shaping the global vision of this movement.
You really can't quite put it into words, and it's ironic that we're looking at this Iran conflict at this moment, because mother's at the center of that. As you recall, the hostages were taken in 1979, and Mom and Mrs. Iris Thomas and Dr. Thelma Merchant, Mrs. Velma Wilson, and Mrs. Doris Zoller, the Women's Auxiliary Board of Operation Push, many others. They had gone over to Lebanon to meet with Yasser Arafat, and really looking for a resolution to break this no-talk policy with the Palestinians and to resolve this conflict between the Palestinians and the Israelis. And mom was at the heart of that. And Yasser Arafat, the chairman, said at that time, he said, I think there's a tremendous opportunity here. They've taken these hostages, and if you go to Tehran, they will give them all to you, Mrs. Jackson. Such was his relationship with our mother. He had so much trust in her, and he really appreciated her political savvy and her political perspective. And I remember at that time, President Carter was blowing up our home phone because he said, your wife is over there. We understand that they want her to go to Tehran. This is a horrible thing. It's very dangerous, very tenuous. And it was a back and forth. He was calling, it felt like every hour on the hour, but he was calling all the time, throughout the day, throughout the night. And of course, our father would walk into harm's way without blinking, but he never wanted us to be harmed. And there was a back and forth. And ultimately, Dad said, you've got to come home. This is just too dangerous. And I guess the way it was playing in the United States, it was frightening. And it was frightening to him. And plus, he's talking to the president of the United States about this. And so the compromise that the Ayatollah made was that, well, since she is not going to come here, we will release the blacks and the women because of the oppression that they have endured in this American system, in the Western world. And you can't underestimate that. When Dad ran for president, Jesse, I was talking with Sonali Bustamante. Of course, her father, John Bustamante, was Dr. King's lawyer, and he was our father's lawyer. And I said, I remember some talk about life insurance and Daddy being uninsurable. And she said that was true. we couldn't get a life insurance policy for your father. And you know, and you, Johnny, and I are old enough to really comprehend that most people did not expect him to survive that first run in particular. The second one either, but absolutely the first one. And yet she stood strong. She said to me, whatever your reservations, and mine were only for his life, she said, you get yourself together, because this is not about you. This is about our people. And this is about all the people who have no voice. And so at the end of the day, if something happens to him, you all fall on me. So there's that. And so, and she said, and you cannot fail. If you fail, that means our enemies will win. So you get yourself together and you tell him that you want him to run, and you will like it. You know, and our mother has that kind of strength.
Cynthia, let me ask a question.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Dad had never heard of the island of Vieques.
No. Now you stop saying unkind things about our daddy. He was a worldly man.
Mom, you went to Vieques, and I know that our family was very concerned about that. Mom, share with us why you went to Vieques. Mom, are you there?
She is there.
Hello.
Hey, Mom, why did you go to Vieques, Mom?
I don't want to talk about that at this moment. I want to really speak on a present situation. Being from Fort Pierce, Florida, and the daughter of migrant workers, and I had the fortunate experience of going on a couple of little trips with them to pick some tomatoes and string beans just to experience the process. But during my stay in Florida and my relationship with Cuba, many don't remember the Fidel Castro period and Che Guevara. They don't remember when America occupied Cuba under a man by the name of Batista. During that time, Cuba was an illiterate country. It was a song and dance country with casinos, the gambling, the dancing, fun women, and a big pot of mess. After our administration was overthrown in Cuba and Fidel Castro took over, he and Cuba began to produce so many doctors and physicians, they had to export them because education was practically free. Medicine in America, where many of my friends who were activists and participants in change in this country here went to Cuba to get new teeth and their dental work and medicines for free. So when we swell up and say we're going back to take over Cuba again, when you have always had a huge military base there called Guantanamo Bay, you could have taken it anytime you wanted to. But I'm wondering now if we are so asleep that we would allow the level of tyranny to reign once again in these places where people were locked out of their own systems and received very little health care, and education was not free, and bus rides. I'm very worried. Are we about to put in the same kind of terrible governments that we have supported throughout our history? And I've been sitting here, and thank you for allowing me to say this, because I've been about to burst because I wanted to have people know what Cuba looked like under our administration.
Mom, just before we go forward, I do want to say that by definition, the congressman of the 1st Congressional District, Jonathan Jackson, and a potential United States representative from the 2nd Congressional District, we come with a foreign policy advisor. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with Mrs. Jesse Jackson and Santita Jackson.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hey LA, spring into savings with a special offer from LADWP. Now through March 31st, get a Flume device for free. What's a Flume? It's an easy-to-install home water monitor and leak detector that helps you catch leaks early and track water use. Don't wait. Order your free Flume before March 31st at ladwp.com/FLUME. That's ladwp.com/FLUME. Heading out of town this spring? Metro makes getting to LAX easier than ever. Just take the C or K train lines to the new LAX Metro Transit Center. Then catch a free shuttle straight to your terminal. Easy, affordable, stress-free. Travel smart. Go Metro.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is connecting you with services and solutions. Domestic violence and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Every single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take on various forms: psychological and emotional, physical and economic, and sexual abuse. The Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. The Genesee Center also provides support services like mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal services. If you need help or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 1-800-479-7328. That's 1-800-479-7328, or visit genesee.org. Everyone has the right to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download that.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. We're having a special edition of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It is the 82nd birthday of my mother, Mrs. Jessie Jackson, Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson, a civil rights activist and pioneer in her own right. And I'm particularly grateful that my eldest, with an E, sister is joining us on the program today. Santita, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you. And I'm going to be there on March 27th.
I'm looking forward to that. And let me say this, Santita, can you share with us where people can listen to you regularly as well while I have you on the show?
Well, we have a nationally syndicated radio show. It was announced that the show that I've been producing and writing for our father since 2004, it will continue. It's nationally syndicated on iHeart, and that's every Sunday from 8 to 10 a.m. And in fact, our home station is out there in Los Angeles. But you can go to the iHeart app and go to Keep Hope Alive with Reverend Jesse Jackson. And then my home station is AM 950 radio in Minneapolis, St. Paul. It's a progressive station for the state. And so it's been an exciting journey, and it's wonderful to be a partner with you in radio.
Congratulations, Santita. I'm very proud of your success. Let me turn with the balance of our program, or part of the balance of our program, because I'm definitely going to have you back, and maybe even as a regular contributor on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Mom, just before we were taking our break, you were just about to burst on the question of Cuba and being relevant, and I'm not going to interrupt that. I do say, Mom, by the way, 3 minutes at the top of the hour for a word of hope, which we would love for you to deliver. But I just want to share with our listeners that my mother knew Anwar Sadat, the president of Egypt, Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. She knew Yasser Arafat of the Palestinian Liberation Organization. She knew Fidel Castro and Daniel Ortega in South America, a number of world leaders. And it would be my mother who would make the introduction of these leaders to my father. Mom, you're about to burst in your thoughts about what's taking place in Cuba and the contributions that the Cubans made to global peace.
As I said before, somehow, because we're bombarded with so much information, often we can forget so quickly. And oftentimes our enemies don't want us to remember what things looked like in the cotton patch. But anytime you have lived through the pain of oppression, you can recognize it so easily anywhere. That's why I have been able to move around in the world, because I've seen the pain that many of African Americans have seen at home, and we can recognize also the culprits. I am very excited about the opportunity to have brought back information to our people and to those who would listen, the progressive community, to let them know that we are not alone. There are many of us struggling in the same oppressive systems, and we must keep hope alive. But also I want to say, before I leave this audience, voting is freedom for many who really don't have to worry, because they're going to be cared for anyway. So to vote is something they have options to do it or not do it. They're going to have the roads in their community repaired. They're going to have their schools cleaned and perfect. Voting for those of us who have struggled and reminded this system of its unkindness have an obligation to go to the polls and vote every chance you get, because the Reverend always said, in order to remain, you must be necessary. And we've got to now begin to kind of double back to see where our children are. And education takes place first at home. And what I've tried to do with you and tried to encourage my friends as I was encouraged as a young person, my parents had nothing but high expectations. We were so poor that my mother would put things away for hard times. And I thought hard times was a person that was going to visit our house. And only to discover that we bumped into hard times often. And I just want to encourage people to do the very best where you stand. Dr. King said, if you're going to be a street sweeper, be the very best that you can be. I'm looking for Black jobs, anything that can be helpful to our people and to making America a more humane place to live. And that's all I have to say about that. And I approve that message.
There she is.
Happy birthday.
Jesse,
I approve that message. I love my big family. I feel so a part of all of the listeners, those who take the time to want to help somebody. And I want us to continue to be the greatest people on earth. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm going to take a nap.
I love you, Mom. Thank you for keeping our family strong, and thank you for keeping our nation strong. Santita, we have about a minute before the top of our show. Your final thoughts, Santita.
I want everyone to know how much we all love our mother and revere her, honor her. But I want you to know, as my brother, I'm so proud of you. I've seen you grow. I've seen you stumble. I've seen you fall. I've seen you get up. You know, the ground is no place for a champion. And that is what you are. You are that to me. You're that in my life. And I want you to know how very much I love you. And one of the proudest moments of my life I just experienced, having the opportunity to vote for you once again. And I love you with all of my heart, Jesse. Happy belated birthday to you.
I'm so proud of you, Santita. Happy birthday, Mom. And thank you so much for joining us. Santita, can't wait to have you back on the program. Santita Jackson is going to be joining KBLA for Women's History Month on the designated times that our commercial breaks outline. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. A very special congratulations and thank you to my mother and to my eldest sister, Santita Jackson. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. President Trump says he believes the honor of taking Cuba will be his. Speaking at the White House Monday, Trump referred to Cuba as a failed nation and said, "I think I can do anything I want with it." This comes on the same day Cuba's national electrical grid suffered a total collapse, leaving around 10 million people without power. Cuban-born Miami radio host Ninosa Perez noted she wasn't offended by Trump's comments.
The blackouts are not new. The lack of water is not new. This is a collapsed system.
She says she'll be happy if Trump takes over and she can return. U.S. flyers are getting hit with a 1-2 punch of bad weather and long lines as a line of thunderstorms hit the East Coast as far south as Florida. FlightAware reports over 1,000 flights have been canceled. And happy birthday to singer Tamar Braxton. She turns 49. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The playing round of the NCAA men's basketball tournament tips off tonight. HBCU Howard University is competing in one of the 4 games. Howard takes on Maryland, Baltimore County in Dayton, Ohio. The winner advances to the field of 64 for a first-round matchup Thursday against Michigan, the number 1 seed in the Midwest Regional. Howard's women's team is also in the NCAA tournament. Howard, the number 14 seed in the Fort Worth Regional, has a first-round game Thursday at number 3 Ohio State. From the Under the Radar department, filmmaker Ryan Coogler, a groundbreaking winner at the Academy Awards Sunday night, was a wide receiver on the Sacramento State University football team. Coogler, who grew up in nearby Oakland, had 112 catches for 1,200 yards when he played at Sacramento State from 2004 to 2007. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Old-fashioned soul. Where you eating at? Hi, I'm Greg Doolin, inviting you to a special celebration of Women's History Month. Join KBLA Talk 1580 for its annual symposium, The State of Black Women in LA. Broadcast live from Doolin's Soul Food on Crenshaw, Friday, March 27th, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., moderated by Dominique DePrima. And yes, breakfast is just $15.80. Come get fed twice. Your stomach and your mind will thank you. We'll see you Friday morning, March 27th, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. at Doolin's Soul Food on Crenshaw for the State of Black Women in LA. Broadcast live only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Tenacious Tuesday. I want to take this opportunity to thank Tavis Smiley for giving me the opportunity to welcome my mother and my eldest sister on Talk 1580. I hope over the last couple of weeks, and certainly with the last show in the last hour, that our listeners have gained some insight into the influence of Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson, Mrs. Jesse Jackson, into not only her husband's thinking, but also into the thinking of her children. And I wasn't being sly when I said that if, in fact, my brother and I have the privilege of serving in Congress together, we come with a foreign policy advisor. And so all of you international interests out there that take advantage of members of Congress who are freshmen and enter the House of Representatives or enter the United States Senate, who don't understand the depth of where we come from and what we discuss around our dining room table, they got another thing coming because we've been there. We're not novice by virtue of sitting around and living at the feet of Jacqueline Jackson and, of course, the Reverend Jesse Jackson on questions of foreign policy. But in this moment, I'm scratching my head and I'm saying to myself, how many members of Congress have not been blessed to have a family member with the credentials of Dr. Jacqueline Jackson, let alone the experiences of the Reverend Jesse Jackson? They come from various walks of life. They've served in the State House. They've served in state senates. They've served in local city councils. Some came right from the pulpit to the Congress of the United States. Many have never ventured outside of the space to which they represent and have been elected. But in the Jackson household, every member of my family has a passport. In fact, some of us are working on our third and fourth passports because Dr. Jacqueline Jackson would have it no other way. And that's why even at my father's memorial services, the president of Colombia was there, and the president of South Africa was there, and the president of the Congo was there, and other foreign leaders, including King Charles, issued their condolences to Mrs. Jesse Jackson for the life that she lived and the life that my father lived, and the influence that they've had not only on our culture, but on their countries and cultures around the world. Mrs. Jesse Jackson comes with a world view and a point of view, and some interests that can't wait to hijack members of Congress as soon as they get to the floor of Congress. You might want to start with Mrs. Jackson before you knock on the door of the congressman of the 1st Congressional District and the 2nd Congressional District, because we come with a point of view and we come with an opinion that leans towards justice and it leans towards peace. That's who we are. It's Tenacious Tuesdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. In this hour, none other than Dr. Barbara Arnwine, one of my mother's great friends, who joins my mother, and my mother joins her on just about every picket line and protest. $19, $18, $17, $16, $13, $12, $11, $10, $9, $8, $6, $5, $4, $3, $2, $1. What is going on in the world? What is going on in this country that needs to be brought to our attention today from the president of the Transformative Justice Coalition?
Well, there's so much going on. One of the most important things going on is that we're getting ready for No Kings on March 28th. And we're going to take to the streets because not only has this man ignited a war against his own people in the United States using his private military called ICE to harass, detain, and disappear Americans, but he's also, continuing this disaster fiasco of a war in Iran. And at this time, what's the count? 13 dead Americans that we know of soldiers, 200 wounded from over 7 different nations in the Middle East. We're talking about billions upon billions upon billions of dollars that have been wasted in bombing and other destruction in this country. And then, of course, one of his major counter in terrorism officials who he nominated, who was confirmed by the Senate today, resigned in protest, saying that this Iran war is unnecessary, that there was no reason, no grounds for bringing this war. His own nominee, his own confirmed counterintelligence advisor. Folks, this is a disaster of major proportions. And we, the people of the United States, are paying the price for a madman, the Mad Hatter and his minions, destroying our nation and other nations. It is absolutely inexcusable. It is absolutely criminal what is happening right now with the Iran war. And you and I were right. Last week, we were one of the first shows that started talking about the economic impact. We talked about the fertilizer beyond the oil. We talked about all the products. And now you notice that's become a dominant theme of other talk shows. They were slow to the study, but they got there. But I'm glad to see that they're beginning to bring up the same issues, the same numbers. Also, on last week's show, we talked about the bombing of the Iranian girls' school and about how absolutely outrageous, incompetent, and deadly and absolutely inexcusable that was for the United States to have bombed and killed 160 plus innocent Iranian girls and another 13, I believe, of their teachers, for over 173 people murdered by the United States. And when the president was confronted with this in the last couple of days, he had no answers. No answers.
Barbara Moore, when we come forward with the president of the Transformative Justice Coalition right here on KBLA Talk 1580, she's got a lot to talk about. And we're going to talk about it more.
Game changers who shaped our world, our culture, and our community. From the freedom fighters to the firsts, from the boardroom to the front lines, from the unsung to the unforgettable. All month long, we're celebrating the stories, the voices, and the conversations that remind us that women, Black women, have always led the way. Don't miss a moment. This is our moment. This is our story. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580, Los Angeles' home for the conversations that matter.
I'm your girl, you're my girl, we're your girls. Won't you know that we love you?
Hi, I'm Dominique DePrima, KBLA Talk 1580 host and African Focus Incorporated cultural ambassador. You probably know by now that every year our two organizations team up to lead a trip to the motherland. This June will be our 8th African Focus Trailblazers Tour, and it's not too late to join us. But if you've been thinking of going with us, now is the time to sign on before prices go up. Our current deadline is March 20th. Join us as we travel to a country widely considered one of Africa's most underrated destinations, Zambia, home to the towering Victoria Falls and the bustling capital city, Lusaka. Enjoy a visit to Botswana, known for its pristine natural beauty and stunning Southern African wildlife. We travel in comfort with luxury accommodations, a variety of fun activities, and delicious dining. We do service with charitable work at a school and an orphanage, and we expand our horizons with cultural and historical excursions. To sign up now before our March 20th deadline, please call African Focus Incorporated at 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300. Or check out africanfocus.org. Whether it's in the community or traveling the globe, we move as family. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Let's go.
For 70 years, the Humane Society of the United States has worked to end animal cruelty. Now, we're continuing that mission as Humane World for Animals, because we work around the globe to care for animals who are suffering today. And we tackle the root causes of cruelty for a kinder tomorrow. We are Humane World for Animals, and together, we can make a difference. Help make change for animals. Visit humaneworld.org.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is dedicated to inspiring youth and resilience through storytelling, arts, filmmaking, and enrichment programs for youth and families in under-resourced communities and system-impacted individuals. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit providing free and low-cost arts programs to youth and families from under-resourced communities, both system-impacted youth and those affected by the incarceration of a loved one. 1 in 43 children in America have a parent incarcerated. 70% of those children are expected to end up in prison. Through filmmaking, animation, theater, and writing, they help young people express themselves, build confidence, and imagine new possibilities. Beyond the arts, they offer financial literacy workshops, emergency support, and scholarships. Because thriving takes more than talent, it takes access. To learn more about the impact of Michael Daughters Foundation and how you can be a part of the movement, please visit their website, michaelsdaughterfoundation.com. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are with the president of the Transformative Justice Coalition, who was giving us a rundown on some of the issues that we need to be concerned about domestically and around the world. And just before she does continue her thinking, I just want to share with you that I'm still recovering from the question I asked my mother about Vieques, where she went to jail to stop the U.S. government from bombing that island. And she said, no, I don't want to talk about that. I want to be relevant, and I want to talk about Cuba. So imagine,
Oh, yes.
imagine once again sitting around the Jesse Jackson Sr. and Jacqueline Jackson table trying to get a point in or ask a question, and they tell you exactly what they want to talk about somewhere on planet Earth. Barbara Jacqueline Jackson is a great friend of yours.
Well, let me start by saying I love me some Jackie Jackson. She is amazing. Folks, if you never spend any time in her presence, any private time in her presence, then you missed out a lot, because she is sharper than a tack. She is one of the most brilliant thinkers. And what I love about your mom is there's just nothing simplistic. I mean, she thinks super broad and has a tremendous comprehensive scope to her, bringing together. Talk about connecting the dots. Whoa! It's frightening sometimes. She's so powerful. I mean, she's good. And I enjoy her. I really love her company. We've ridden together to various, not only protests, but to community meetings, to listen to people out in Pembroke talking about the attack on Black land there. We've spent time together, just commiserating as women about various issues, talking and celebrating her doll collection, and so many, come on now, and so many others.
That's her.
That's your mom. And, visiting, not only at your home in Chicago, but visiting with her at the home in Washington, D.C. on a number of occasions. That's where, in fact, where I met little Jackie for the first time. Was in D.C. at your home, I believe, and in D.C. So, so it's just so much, there's just so much to be said. I just love your mom. I just think people forget that this woman, what was it, 3 years ago, she got that beautiful honorary doctorate. For her incredible accomplishments. I mean, she is absolutely at the tops. You don't understand Jesse Jackson Sr. if you don't understand Jacqueline Jackson.
Thank you for that, Barbara. This is her 82nd
I love your mom.
birthday, and an amazing figure, amazing pillar of strength. Barbara, it looks like foreign policy is being conducted entirely from the executive branch of the government. And Congress, once again, has fallen short on its oversight of this kind of gunboat diplomacy, this kind of bullying, if you will, of the world, lobbing missiles at countries from oceans, flying drones from Florida and destroying communities tens of thousands of miles away, while our drone operators in Florida and our drone operators in Nevada are essentially operating this war by video game and destroying the lives of people whose technology and military doesn't even come close to the kind of power that the United States has. At this hour in the Strait of Hormuz, the government of the United States is having a problem finding allies who agrees with this preemptive strike. What are some of the consequences from your perspective, Barbara, on this illegal war?
The consequences are long-ranging. I mean, we still talk to this day about the terrorism that the U.S. did in South America. To this day, people in the South American countries hate us because of the raping of their resources and the enslavement of their people that the United States did. And so it is so important for us to understand that these kinds of consequences aren't just immediate, they're also generational. You can't kill 160 girls and act like you did nothing and think that those families affected will not feel that pain for a lifetime. I mean, it is just insane to think that you can wage this kind of war and try to bully the world. He really thinks that he's back in the 1900s, even pre-birth of a nation. 1900s, where, like you said, it's big stick diplomacy. It's not even called diplomacy. It's just big stick gangsterism is what we're looking at, where we're just saying we want, so we'll steal it. We want, so we'll take it. As he said, we'll take what we want. This is maniac thinking, and it does not look at the long-term stability, the long-term interest, the long-term development. I mean, you can bomb any darn thing. But how many people build? He builds nothing. He doesn't even. I mean, don't get me started. It's just a disastrous, long-range, dangerous policy for all Americans. We all not only will fill it in our pocketbooks, but we are filling it in our personal safety.
Barbara, how does this, from your perspective, play out in the midterms? I thought Democrats had Republicans against the wall on questions of affordability, on questions of healthcare, on a number of issues that I've experienced over the course of the last several months. But I'm wondering, to what extent does the idea of war, a potential forever war, impact the consequences of electoral victory for the resistance movement going forward?
Well, I think that since the majority of Americans really oppose this stupid war, I think it will only fuel the anger of people who are already opposed to this regime. But what I also think is that just let him do what he's been saying he wants to do. Let him actually do what he's been musing about on the stump. He's been talking people about reinitiating the draft. That's what he's been talking about. Because he's not, that smart, but he does understand at the minimum that if you're going to have a conquest of a nation, that you got to conquer it by sending in some ground troops. And so he is trying to come up with his ground troop strategy. And he's threatening the lives of young people. You even had Lindsey Graham talk about Americans should be proud to send their sons to war. Really? I was like, Lindsey Graham, why don't you go? Why don't you go be on the front line? I want to see you in your uniform on the front line. You don't have any kids to send, but I want to see you over there. This is the madness. People are just sick. People are like, it's just one atrocity after the other. If he's trying to somehow take people and distract them from the Epstein files, he's not succeeding because it's just layering. It's layering one bad layer on top of another, and it's going to collapse. And people are sick of it. And they're sick of his sycophants, in the Congress who just can't find a bone. have a spine bone. Have you a backbone? Have you seen the debate that's going on right now regarding the SAVE Act? Folks, the SAVE Act we've been talking about is this big voter suppression bill that was passed by the House weeks ago, and it's finally been brought up in the Senate, even though Thune told Trump that he doesn't have the votes to pass it. And Trump said, this and that, and talked bad about him and talked bad about the GOP senators. So they decided to go on and have a debate and to have a vote on this bill that they know they're going to lose. They can't even get a nuclear option. It's so stupid. But right now they're just getting whipped. The Democrats, give them credit, they're beating their butts in the debate. In fact, so much so that even Cornyn from Texas said, well, why can't we amend the act to take care of some of these problems? And Durbin looked at him, your Durbin from Illinois, looked at him and said, since when have we ever amended an act here in this Congress, in this, during this congressional session for this U.S. Senate? No. He said, we just haven't done it, and it's not going to happen. That's not an excuse to keep moving this act. So as people realize how bad this act is, as people realize what it will impact, you started this show. You mentioned foreign policy. You mentioned, traveling and having passports. Does people know what the actual rate is of passport holding African Americans in the United States? Do they have a clue what the real percentage is?
I don't think they do, Barbara. Share with us.
It's 34%, people. 66% of all Blacks have no passport in the U.S. 66% have no passport. So when they're saying under the SAVE Act that in order to register to vote, that you must produce a passport or your birth certificate, they know starting out the gate that they're knocking out 66% of Blacks who will not be able to produce a passport. Guess what else? Southern people, Southerners of all races, all adults, only 40% have a passport. All Southerners. Guess what? Come on, they know what they're doing. This is a purposeful attempt to destroy any sense of democracy and to destroy our ability to vote and to register and vote. And be very clear that if, in fact, they've created this criminal penalty against anybody who, quote, doesn't follow the, quote, rules for this citizenship proof and this strict voter ID, they are also people trying to kill voter registration drives.
Barbara,
registration drives.
Barbara, we have to come forward, but just before we do, I do want to say that the statistics you just cited are extraordinary, because inherent in that, not that they can't afford it, in many cases they can't, but you've suggested that large swaths of Americans don't even have time to give consideration to a worldview. And I find that equally as troubling. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to Teachers Tuesday with Barbara Arnwine. When we come forward, we're going to talk about how we can support Barbara Arnwine's work and continue our very valuable conversation. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune is holding a vote to hold an open debate on the Save America Act in the Senate. President Trump calls the voter ID bill the most important legislation in the history of Congress. But Black Democrat and House Leader Hakeem Jeffries voiced his disagreement with that in a recent news conference.
And that housing doesn't matter, health care doesn't matter.
Richmond officials are warning residents of a new text scam involving fake court summons notices. The scam circulated Monday, claiming recipients had committed a traffic violation and needed to take immediate action. Anyone receiving these scam messages are asked to report them to Richmond police. And Kiki Shepard, longtime co-host of Showtime at the Apollo, has died at the age of 74. Shepard spent 15 years helping bring music and comedy talent to the Harlem, New York Apollo stage, becoming a familiar face to audiences nationwide. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The play-in round of the NCAA men's basketball tournament tips off tonight. HBCU Howard University is competing in one of the 4 games. Howard takes on Maryland, Baltimore County in Dayton, Ohio. The winner advances to the field of 64 for a first-round matchup Thursday against Michigan, the number 1 seed in the Midwest Regional. Howard's women's team is also in the NCAA tournament. Howard, the number 14 seed in the Fort Worth Regional, has a first-round game Thursday at number 3 Ohio State. From the Under the Radar department, filmmaker Ryan Coogler, a groundbreaking winner at the Academy Awards Sunday night, was a wide receiver on the Sacramento State University football team. Coogler, who grew up in nearby Oakland, had 112 catches for 1,200 yards when he played at Sacramento State from 2004 to 2007. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Good old-fashioned soul. Where you eating at? Hi, I'm Greg Doolin, inviting you to a special celebration of Women's History Month. Join KBLA Talk 1580 for its annual symposium, The State of Black Women in LA. Broadcast live from Doolin's Soul Food on Crenshaw, Friday, March 27th, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., moderated by Dominique DePrima. And yes, breakfast is just $15.80. Come get fed twice. Your stomach and your mind will thank you. We'll see you Friday morning, March 27th, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. at Doolin's Soul Food on Crenshaw for the State of Black Women in LA. Broadcast live only on KBLA Talk 1580.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned. Homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized. The families who watched their inheritance disappear. The wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
Hi, I'm Dominique DePrima, KBLA Talk 1580 host and African Focus Incorporated cultural ambassador. You probably know by now that every year our 2 organizations team up to lead a trip to the motherland. This June will be our 8th African Focus Trailblazers Tour, and it's not too late to join us. But if you've been thinking of going with us, now is the time to sign on before prices go up. Our current deadline is March 20th. Join us as we travel to a country widely considered one of Africa's most underrated destinations, Zambia, home to the towering Victoria Falls and the bustling capital city, Lusaka. Enjoy a visit to Botswana, known for its pristine natural beauty and stunning Southern African wildlife. We travel in comfort with luxury accommodations, a variety of fun activities, and delicious dining. We do service with charitable work at a school and an orphanage, and we expand our horizons with cultural and historical excursions. To sign up now before our March 20th deadline, please call African Focus Incorporated at 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300. Or check out africanfocus.org. Whether it's in the community or traveling the globe, we move as family. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Let's go.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. We're on the grind with Dr. Barbara Arnwine, who's the president and founder of the Transformative Justice Coalition and is internationally renowned for contributions on critical justice issues, including the passage of the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1991 and the 2006 reauthorization provisions of the Voting Rights Act. Currently, she also serves as co-chair and facilitator of the National Council for Voter Justice, the Millennial Votes Matters convenings, and the Voting Rights Alliance. She was the head of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law from February of 1989 until June 2015 and holds the honorific title of President Emeritus. Madam President, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for your great show.
Attorney Barbara Arnwine, how can we support the Transformative Justice Coalition?
Please give to us at tjcoalition.org. tjcoalition.org. We are a 501c3, meaning that your contributions to us are deductible, tax deductible, as provided for by law. So we are a C3 organization. So please give to the Transformative Justice Coalition so we can train our young people, so that we can do these activations out in the street, so that we can fight these horrible voter suppression laws, not only at the state, but at the federal level. Please, tjcoalition.org, give to us. We put our money to good use. Also, I want to say to everyone, we were talking about the SAVE Act. Don't be a spectator. When it comes to the SAVE Act, you can do something right now that will count. We want you to write, we want you to call your congressperson, your senator. We want you to call them at 202-224-3121. That's 202-224-3121. That's the Senate Congressional Switchboard. And they will give you to your senator's offices, and you can tell them, vote no, absolutely no on this ugly voter suppression bill. Be sure to tell them to vote no. Don't be a bump on a log. Take some action. You can make a difference. You say, oh, Barbara, they're not going to pay attention to me. Yes, they do. You know, the only thing they do, and you can tell them, is that at the end of the day, in congressional and Senate offices, they count all these calls that came in. How many said yes? How many said no? What issues people called in on? That's what counts, because these folks want to be reelected. They don't want to hear from their constituents that they didn't vote for them because they didn't do something that they should have done. So give them some help. We know that on the other side, they got Trump. name calling, threatening, talking about they're going to primary people, don't do what he wants to do, all of the rest of it. So you got to bring it to them also so that they will consider the real consequences of not supporting the people of the United States.
We can support the Transformative Justice Coalition by coming online and saying or writing in tjcoalition.org. And there's a donate button there, correct, Barbara?
Yes, there sure is.
Fantastic. Let me ask you this question because I'm a little baffled. The SAVE Act is a voter suppression bill.
Evil voter suppression bill.
Obamacare doesn't exist. It's called the Affordable Care Act for people who work every day and can't afford health care. It is a ramp off of the highway of health carelessness. The contract with America, Newt Gingrich, was a contract on America. By seeking to dismantle major components of the federal government and its responsibilities to the people. Some of this congressional marketing, in fact, most of this congressional marketing is in the opposite direction of what it actually says and does. The SAVE Act doesn't save anything. It just means you have to have a passport. And since, according to Barbara Arnwine, some 70% of African Americans, and I can imagine there's some minority populations where the number is even higher, do not have an American passport. And therefore, you are an illegal voter by virtue of the fact that you can't show up at a polling place with a passport. And you have no plans on going anywhere in the world. Go ahead, Barbara. I'm just frustrated.
Oh no, you're killing it. You're killing it because this is an issue. When my son was born, I made a conscious decision that he would be a world citizen, that he would not just be a U.S. citizen, that he would be a world citizen. So I made sure to encourage him when he was on the internet to have international friends. I encouraged him to travel with me when I would go out of the country to different nations to visit. And it broadened his perspective, like you were saying. It made him a better human being. Only 50% of all United States adults possess a passport. Only 50%. Period. The overwhelming majority of us out here who are making major decisions about the world and having our world viewpoints have never visited these nations and have no clue what these nations really look like, operate like, their culture, etc. We eat the food, and that's about all we know. It's time for us to be real about this, that if we understood the Middle East, and what's happening, we'd be crying right now because we would realize how destructive it is to bomb a Tehran, how destructive it is to wipe out the whole, Gaza Strip. We would have a whole different perspective when we see Sudanese children suffering or Yemenis children suffering. We'd have a whole different perspective because we would know it. But because we are insulated, isolated, and miseducated about the world, we don't have that appreciation. So I'm with you 100% when you talk about the lack of international perspective and how that in and of itself is a problem. But this bill, this evil SAVE Act, is taking advantage of the fact that Americans do not have passports, taking advantage of the fact that so many people were born not in hospitals, born outside of hospitals years ago, that was not a common practice, that we did not subsidize maternal care. And people don't understand that right now. I want you to just call a couple of your relatives and ask them where's their birth certificate and see how fast they can find it for you. Offer them $20. See how fast they can find it for you. Most people don't have it. They don't have it, don't know where it is. And some of them never had it, frankly.
I have to remind people that America turns 250 years old on July 4th, at least the idea of America. We still have yet to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Constitution, but certainly the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, which means we are a new kid on the block. And we are bombing civilizations that are thousands of years.
Yes.
While we're wiping out our own culture here in the United States and our own history, we seek to change the culture of civilizations that have existed for thousands of years. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. We're with the Transformative Justice Coalition's president, On the Grind with Barbara Arnwine. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Warning, evacuation in progress. Leave the building. It's a total takeover.
That's what I want.
On Friday, March 27th, KBLA Talk 1580 belongs to the women. Are you ready? All day long, from 6 in the morning to midnight, the mic belongs to powerful, accomplished women, and we are not letting go. Nothing but the voices of women who inspire, challenge, and move us forward. It's the women of KBLA Talk 1580, sun up to sundown. I'm Dominique DePrima, and I'll anchor the day with a 3-hour live panel from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the state of Black women in LA, followed by women talking to women all day long about the issues that matter most. Our hosts for the day include Jill Monroe, Adrian Shropshire, Dr. Melina Abdullah, Angela Reddick Wright, Raquel Graham, Angelique Francis, Tasha Thomas, Dr. Shalonda Crawford, Dion Raymond, and featuring special guest hosts Santita Jackson and Amanda Seals. This is Women's History Month, and we're not just celebrating it, we're amplifying it. Join us Friday, March 27th on KBLA Talk 1580, where women take over all day, all night. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 and all of our socials for the rundown. You don't want to miss a single word. And happy Women's History Month from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
To my ladies.
I'll show you know how to work
You are the bomb.
Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help. Heading out of town this spring? Metro makes getting to LAX easier than ever. Just take the C or K train lines to the new LAX Metro Transit Center. Then catch a free shuttle straight to your terminal. Easy, affordable, stress-free. Travel smart. Go Metro.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. The midterm election campaign season is here now. The 2028 presidential election is right around the corner. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. It's all in for 2026 and 2028. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very honored regular contributor and special guest on the grind with attorney Barbara Arnwine. Barbara, welcome forward to the show in our final segment.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been quite the show. Thank you.
You know, I want to talk for just a moment and kind of opine, but leave plenty of room and time for you to respond about how revolutionary the vote is. And I want to speak about it for just 1 minute from a personal perspective. At the end of the show, there will be 3 hours left in voting in the state of Illinois.
Yes.
And a decision that will be made by the people and the people only could, will, might change the trajectory of my life. That's the power of the vote. In 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 4 hours, I could be the Democratic nominee for a congressional seat. And that's happening in 434 other congressional districts around the country during the midterms. The trajectory of their lives. Not to be someone's leader, but to be their representative, to carry their voices to Washington, D.C. In a real sense, every time we vote in America, another revolution is taking place. Because we send people to legislative bodies in states and in our national legislature, the Congress, to change the trajectory of the nation and therefore change our worldview, but also how we view our neighbors in that process. And in this moment, I'm thinking that maybe the most revolutionary act in modern American or world history is the idea of the vote itself and what it truly carries and entails. It's not, as Dad would say, go exercise your right to vote for exercise. Like you can't go to the gym and work out, but exercising the right to vote in our ideally nonviolent society, Barbara Arnwine, is truly a revolutionary act that the American people have the power to change their government and if you will, Barbara, chart the trajectory of the world order. Barbara Arnwine.
You know, Wow, you said so much in that one powerful thought. Woo! People, if you ever want to understand the vote, call up the spirit of Maceo Snipes. Murdered because he voted back in the 1930s, if I'm right. If you ever want to know about the power of the vote, call it the spirit of Octavius Cato in Pennsylvania. There's a statue to him. When you drive around the city hall in Philadelphia, you got a flying black man. That's Octavius Cato or Cato, depending on how people say it, who was killed in 1871 for casting his vote. You know, if you want to understand, you know, there's a trail of martyrs. Jimmy Lee Jackson, a trail of martyrs of black folks who were slain because they tried to vote. If a vote meant nothing, why would somebody kill you over it? It was, you know, voting is a part of Black empowerment. If you believe in Black power, if you believe in people power, then you know that the vote is the key to it. It's the only time when my little vote counts just as much as Elon Musk's vote. Just one vote, one person, one vote. And it is so important for people never, ever, ever to denigrate that. You know, when you see people who are sitting in office and not doing their jobs, get them out. Don't talk about the fact that they're not doing what they should be doing. Just vote them out. Get them out of there. When you hear about people who are, you know, really great and have great ideas, great leadership, great commitment, put them in office. You know, don't sit around talking about what's wrong if you're not doing what you can do to make a difference. I mean, we have to be cognizant of the fact that the vote is, in fact, as our leader, John Lewis, said, what? The most precious right, almost sacred, that Americans possess. And that's why they're always after us. You know, Barbara Tuchman in her amazing seminal work, March of Folly, ends it by talking about the most important concept that evolved out of the, you know, Industrial Revolution, et cetera, was the right of the individual, which was almost non-existent prior to that time. And with that right came what? The ultimate expression of the right came the right to vote. So, you know, so this is something that people need to, you know, really understand, that this that the right to vote is just not something that you and I talk about because we got political friends. It is emblematic of our power or our powerlessness, depending on how we use it.
Barbara, thank you for being on our show this week.
Well, I just want everyone to know, go to NoKings.org, NoKings.org, NoKings.org. Sign up, be involved. We'll talk more. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. I want to thank my mother, Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson, Mrs. Jessie Jackson, for being on our program today. My eldest sister, Santita Jackson, for the extraordinary work that she does. And of course, our regular contributor, Barbara Arnwine, for the leadership that she continues to provide for our nation. So grateful that she is our family and our friend. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward. Stay right here.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.